Green. What does this word mean to you? Green can mean so many different things. A lack of experience, unripe, as in fruit, sick, green around the gills, jealous, green with envy. Then there's the more recognized definitions of the word, such as describing land covered with lush and verdant foliage, and one that has become more and more prominent in recent years: concern for the earth or support for environmental causes. It's these last two that resonate most with me, namely my love for nature and my scorn for those who disrespect it, especially those who don't dispose of their litter properly. Now, I've spoken about litter a bit in previous videos, and I even did a mini beach cleanup in Pulauhan too. Honestly, it felt like a waste of time. But I also came to the conclusion that most of the litter on those islands didn't originate in Singapore. So to get an idea of how much a problem litter is in Singapore, I needed to get away from the coastline and head inland. I needed to walk through the heart of Singapore and see what the situation was like. Now luckily, my idea to do this video coincided nicely with the reopening of the central section of the Green Corridor. Now, I'd been wanting to walk this path for a few years now, but I thought I'd wait until the renovations were complete. But since the southern end will not reopen for another few years or so, I figured that there's no time like the present. So I'm going to walk the length of Singapore's Green Corridor and see how much litter I can pick up along the way. Now, I'm not doing this to embarrass Singapore or embarrass Singaporeans. I just wanted to do it as a kind of social experiment to see how much litter I could find in a place that's name is green, and in a place that has a reputation as being one of the cleanest places in the world. So it's going to be interesting to see the results. First one of the day. Now, the Green Corridor in its present incarnation is relatively new. Up until 2011, the land that it runs along was occupied by a fully functional rail line. You could catch a train from Tanjong Pagar station that would take you north and into Malaysia. The line was a remnant of the colonial era, and thanks to the complicated history between Singapore and Malaysia, the land upon which the line and station stood was actually owned by Malaysian rail company KTM, even though it had been 40 odd years since Singapore declared independence from its larger neighbour. This slither of land was eventually handed back to Singapore in return for several other parcels of prime land in a deal struck in 2010, creating what is now known as the Green Corridor. 1 kilometre in, and I am really surprised by how little litter I have found so far. I don't even have half a bag yet. So that's kind of a good start, and we have 21 kilometers to go if this sign is correct.
Just be careful. There are many snakes here.
Three kilometers, and I've almost filled my first bag, but now I have a logistical problem. I never actually thought about what I'm going to do with the rubbish that I pick up along the way. Okay, I'm about 5k in and a bag and a half so far. Just thought I'd tell you a little story about litter in Singapore and one of my experiences. Back home, if I saw, you know, a young person throw litter on the floor, being a responsible adult like I am, I would tell them, you know, don't litter. A few years ago, I mean, that was a fine thing to do, but nowadays, if you do that in the West, there's a good chance that somebody's going to beat you up, you know. So you have to be really careful. And I mean, even one time here in Singapore, right outside my condo in Bedok, I was riding my bike past a group of youths, and one of the youths just drop kicked his empty plastic bottle onto the floor, and he definitely wasn't going to pick it up. And the thing was, there was a litter bin literally 5 meters away from him. So as I rode past, I slowed down and I said to this teenager, I said, hey, there's a litter bin there, and I don't know why, but I fully expected him to say, oh yeah, sorry, pick it up and put it in the bin. But instead, I just got a mouthful of foul-mouthed abuse, and honestly, I was quite taken aback by that. So, I mean, but if you think about it, when you're a guest in someone else's country, you have to be careful when you speak out, because the instant response to that for some people is to, you know, just say, oh, shut up, you foreigner, go back to your own country, whatever. And I guess that's the reaction I sparked in the kid. Alright, so I just had my first really messy spot of the trip, which was under those ridges behind me. Looked like a kind of a picnic spot, although I must say the trash that I picked up looked like it had been there for a long time. It didn't look very recent, so I don't know. But yeah, I'm almost, I think I'm about 6k in now, and probably 1 3/4 bags. Straight in the bin. Don't need to pick it up then. So many masks. Gross. People don't like to dispose of their masks properly. I must have picked up about 15 masks. Thankfully, I've got these grippers because I wouldn't want to be using my hands. Obviously, coming to Singapore from Taiwan, it was quite a big difference in the way rubbish is disposed of, especially in your household, because in Taiwan you have to recycle everything and also separate everything. But here in Singapore, it doesn't seem to be such a big deal as it is in Taiwan. I mean, you can get fined in Taiwan if you don't separate your rubbish properly. Not that it happens that often, but the law is there. But here in Singapore, I mean, in our condo, you can basically just throw away rubbish without worrying about recycling. Not that we do. I mean, I actually keep all the bottles and cans and glass separate and put them in the blue recycling bin. But I mean, a lot of people just dump it because the rubbish gets incinerated here. So I guess it gives you peace of mind, even if you don't recycle as such. For the first year or two I was here in Singapore, it was kind of weird because when you live in Taiwan, just around the cities and the busy areas where there's lots of people, you always find these recycling grannies and granddads who collect all the cardboard, the cans, the PET bottles and such, and they just go around collecting them and then take them to the recycling centre and get paid for it. So it was kind of weird when I first came to Singapore not to see those grannies and granddads trawling the streets. But then lo and behold, about 2 years after I came here, I actually did see one. I saw a granny collecting cardboard on a trolley. So I was really happy, and I was kind of surprised first, but then really happy to realise that Singapore has recycling grannies too. A little bit spicy though. I forgot to say, we're about halfway through the whole of the former KTM line, but we won't be able to do all of it because the last few kilometers is under construction. Never mind. Second cigarette packet of the day. Seriously though, cigarette packets are so gross these days, with pictures of lungs and dead things and cancer and all kinds. Who the hell would want to smoke? I don't know. I can say this as a former smoker. Oh my god, embarrassment level 200%. I just went to Bukit Timah Park headquarters to use the bathroom, and only when I came out did I realise that I had been in the ladies. Oh god, so embarrassing. Luckily the woman that was in there when I came out realised it was just a stupid mistake and I'm not some kind of pervert. Oh well, another experience chalked off. Seems like a friendly drink. And another one. There's a storm been chasing me for the last 30 or 40 minutes. I hope I can make it to the end before it starts pouring down. Fingers crossed. Oh, it's an alien. Alright guys, I've come to the end of my little adventure along the green corridor. I guess you could now say it's a case of been there and done that. Now if you don't like these puns, then you know, just don't trash talk me, alright? Seriously, it's been an interesting adventure or an experiment. I've picked up around 3 full bags and about 1/2 full bag, so 3.5 bags full of rubbish the whole way along the green corridor. I realized that my efforts kind of superficial, but if I walked a lot slower and had more people, I could probably find a lot more rubbish, but you know, it is what it is. But it's been fun. Things I've learned today. Well, the first thing I've learned is that Singapore isn't as dirty as I thought it was going to be, because I expected to pick up a lot more rubbish, so well done people of Singapore. Another thing I've learned is that operating a litter picker all day is quite hard on your hands. I've got blisters on my hands now. The other thing I've learned, modern shoes are just not made as well as they used to be in the olden days, I guess. The amount of soles and bits of footwear I've picked up is just unbelievable. Second only to bottles, masks, thanks COVID, and cans. As from what I've discovered is that Red Bull may give you wings, but it doesn't give you a conscience. And energy drinks give you energy, but obviously not enough energy to walk to a bin and throw the can away after you finished it. So yeah, what else have I learned? Oh yeah, operating a tripod with 2 legs is pretty difficult, because my tripod leg fell off during the walk and I couldn't find it, so now I've only got 2 legs on my tripod. Now the final thing I've learned is there is actually an extended 3-kilometer section of the green corridor that I didn't know about, and that brings you all the way down to almost Tanjong Pagar. That has been completed, that wasn't open last time I was sniffing around. So technically I didn't walk the whole length of the green corridor. I only discovered this today when I came back to film some B-roll. So, oops. That's it, that's all I've learned. I hope you've learned something too. I know some people will criticize me for making a superficial effort, but I'm just trying to highlight an issue. And if my efforts, if somebody watches this video and it makes one person think twice about throwing their litter away, then I'll consider my job done. That's all I have to say. Except, now, where's that recycling granny?